Hey guys, let's talk about last night's episode of Parenthood. And it happened just like I thought it would. Oh boy. Julia. That's right, guys. She ended up kissing Ed. And I saw it coming a mile away. I knew it was going to happen. And I was just praying that they wouldn't go there, but they did. And it looks like we're going to have to wait to see what happens. But she gave into it. She went to see him because she found out that he was splitting up with his wife. And she pretty much was like, I hope you're not doing this because of us or anything that I may have done. And he was like, no, my marriage has been, going through a rough patch for a while. It has nothing to do with you. And of course, she felt guilty. So the second she took that step forwards to him to give him a hug, I was like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. And she did it. And of course, they embraced for quite a while. And she was not letting him go. And then he puts his head on her. She looks up at him. And they kiss. And it wasn't just like a peck, it was a kiss. And she pulls away and then she runs off and he has this look on his face like, oh no, like obviously that's not what he wanted to do and everything, you know what I mean? And he doesn't want to ruin their friendship because more than anything, he really cares about her. And he doesn't want to lose her as a friend as well as the loss of his wife. So, ugh, guys. And just as Joel is acting like a really good husband again and a great dad, and he's like, he came home early from work and just all kinds of bad, all kinds of bad. So we'll see where this goes and what happens when the show returns. And then of course we had the fallout from the fight that Amber's boyfriend had, and he busted up the dude from the band pretty badly, and this was going to cost them studio time because the guy couldn't use he's a drummer and he couldn't drum because his hands all busted up. And so of course Crosby and Adam aren't happy. They're not really necessarily upset with Amber, but they're just more concerned like, are you okay? Like, this was obviously a very serious, scary situation. Has he ever done this before? And she's like, no, like, he's a really good guy and he didn't mean it and blah 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 blah. And of course, they understand that, but it was still scary, freaked out. And then of course now this is costing them money. So of course she goes to her mom and wants to, ask her for advice because her mom has like this whole time been, pretty much against this relationship because he's not fully okay from the accident, right? Or not the accident, but from being away at war. And she could see the writing on the wall a while ago. So the fact that, she went to her mom and asked her, for advice, that was good because Amber doesn't and hasn't really wanted her mom's opinion in a while. So, she basically said, listen, you can get through this because you're tough and a big girl and I know that you can handle anything. She's like, but as your mother, I don't want to see you have to go through this. Like, I don't want to see you have to deal with something like this. So, of course, she goes back to the house and she talks with him and she forgives him and she's like, let's do this. I still want to be with you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. He's like, well, I'm going back to war. Like, I basically re-enlisted and I'm out. And she's like, what? And she's bawling. And I was like, Amber, please let him go. He's nothing but bad news. You got off easy here. I just didn't want the show to like turn into all of a sudden he was going to turn into like an abuser and start hurting her. So I'm glad that he's just going to go. He's going to go back where he feels, I mean, it's not that he feels comfortable there, but he just can't like simulate himself back into society. Like he's just, more than anything, he just needs help. Like he needs like a shrink. He needs to, these guys come back and there's a lot that they're dealing with and a lot of PTSD and they just don't get the treatment that they need. And now he's going to go back, being angry, being volatile, and that's not a good thing either. So it wraps up that storyline a little bit, but, obviously not in the best way, but the best way for Amber. So, of course, then we had some, the wrap up with the election and the fact that they did not win. No successful Braverman as mayor for this year. Christina is just going to have to get over the fact that she lost and move on to doing something else now. So her and Adam had a couple of nice sweet scenes and, they were throwing eggs at Bob Little sign and everything. So that was kind of, I guess, therapeutic for her because she really did want to win, but she lost anyway. And then we had a couple cute scenes with Crosby and Sarah's son, who is of course like he's a soft, gentle soul, and he's unfortunately with this girl who he likes, but she just wants to hook up with him whenever she gets horny, and she wants to be able to hook up with other dudes, and she wants him to hook up with other girls and everything, and he's just kind of like, this isn't really my scene, and I'm not really that guy. And Crosby was like, look, dude, you're not that guy, but maybe you should just go out and get laid as much as you can, because the day you actually settle down, you're not going to get it as much as you think you will. So it was kind of a cute little honesty moment with Crosby. So I thought that was a cute scene, and it was a nice little bit of comic relief. But, the episode was good. And again, like, it's all about family with this show and the things that family goes through and deals with. And again, like I keep saying, this Joel and Julia storyline, I am very interested in it because I think it's a real depiction of what happens when couples who do love each other just all of a sudden are very disconnected, and they slowly start to move away from one another, and they start opening up and sharing with other people what's going on in their own personal lives. So I just hope that Julia doesn't just try to tell Joel just so she feels better, and then Joel goes off and has sex with his architect person there. Nobody wants to see that either. So I'm hoping that they can just sort of let this go, or I don't know. I don't want to see them get divorced. I really don't. Maybe they can work through it, but I knew this day was going to come. Anyways, guys, that has been my review. Oh, and Sarah, hooked up with the guy that lives in her building, but she's a mess. So, and then she's trying to run away from him. It wasn't really that important to her storyline, but I think the bottom line is she's still trying to find herself. And they've allowed her to just sort of take her own little slow journey this season, which is kind of good because the show has really been a lot about Sarah and how she can't get her life in order. So, she hooked up with her tenant, and now she's like freaking out and doesn't want to be around him anymore, which is kind of funny. So, all right, now that has been my review for Parenthood, and I will see you guys after the next episode. Okay, bye.